Hey guys, my name is Grace and welcome to Grace Adventures. I recently made my first trip to SeaWorld Orlando in about 15 to 20 years, give or take. It's crazy to think that it's been that long since my last visit, but I love going to Busch Gardens a lot more. You'll find me there a lot more, and I love the rides a lot better. While I was at SeaWorld, I was trying to recall everything that I remembered from years ago and then also trying to see some of the new stuff that's there too. For example, I remember my parents getting me a stuffed wolf from the gift shop near the entrance at the front of the park, and I have vivid memories of the Shamu shows, especially the Shamu Believe show. Another memory that popped into my head was a game I used to play on my Game Boy called Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures. This is a very unique game and I can't believe that I still remember it. So for this video, we are diving into the lore of Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures. Let's get into it. Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures was released in November 2005. It was published on Activision and available on GameCube, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. This game was inspired by SeaWorld's iconic Shamu Orca shows. The story revolves around Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea, who is trying to replace SeaWorld with Atlantis. Shamu must defeat Poseidon and his ally, the Kraken, by competing 20 levels, tackling various challenges, and collecting power-ups along the way. To summarize the storyline, Shamu, SeaWorld's performing killer whale, is the hero of the game. The villain is Poseidon, who wants to turn SeaWorld into Atlantis and strip the park of its magic. Shamu is mentored by Horatio, a manatee who escaped Poseidon's evil schemes. After a performance at Shamu Stadium, Horatio begins training him in his animal behaviors, which are magical abilities to help him fight back the evil doings of Poseidon. The first major showdown of the game happens when the Kraken breaks into the stadium. The Kraken supports Poseidon and acts as his ally, viewing him as the rightful ruler of the sea. Throughout the game, Shamu collects Kraken crystals, which are formed from the Kraken's ink. These crystals enhance Shamu's magic powers, allowing him to fight off enemies. There are other collectibles such as krill bubbles, which help restore health, air bubbles, which help maintain oxygen levels, ancient relics, which help boost points, and actual photos of SeaWorld San Diego. In the game, Shamu embarks on quests to defeat the Kraken, battle various bosses, navigate through Atlantis, and ultimately take down Poseidon to save SeaWorld before Atlantis floats to the surface. After his victory, Shamu returns to Shamu Stadium to show off his new animal behavior, magical abilities to the audience. The game was clearly a marketing tool for SeaWorld, aiming to promote the brand, stay competitive, and of course, generate revenue. There is one interesting moment that comes near the end of the game when the Kraken crashes into a massive sign in Atlantis. Poseidon accidentally freezes the Kraken and the sign, which then floats to the surface of SeaWorld. And then we see this sign near the end of the game. This appears to be a nod of the Kraken roller coaster at SeaWorld Orlando, which at the time kind of featured the colors and patterns matching the game's depiction, at least the sign and not the actual ride itself before it got the new colors and rebranding. The game also blends mythology and modern times. Atlantis is based on an ancient legend of a sunken island from Plato's writings. According to the myth, Atlantis sank around 9,600 BC after conquering parts of land like in Africa and Europe. In Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures, Poseidon seeks to revive Atlantis and then claims SeaWorld as its ruler. When the game was released in 2005, SeaWorld had a very different identity compared to today in 2025. At the time, it was owned by Anheuser-Busch, which had acquired SeaWorld parks in 1989. Back then, SeaWorld was focused on competing with other Orlando theme parks like Disney and Universal by adding thrill rides. For example, in 2005, SeaWorld only had 2 major attractions open, and one of them was Kraken, which was a floorless roller coaster which opened in 2000. and Journey to Atlantis, which is a water roller coaster with dark ride elements, which opened in 1998. SeaWorld San Diego had a similar setup at the time, with its Journey to Atlantis ride opening in 2004. Meanwhile, SeaWorld San Antonio had a few more rides, and SeaWorld Ohio had already been closed in 2000, and Abu Dhabi SeaWorld wouldn't open until 2023. The Journey to Atlantis ride at the SeaWorld parks explores the myth of Atlantis. The Orlando version opened in 1998 and was designed by Mack Rides. It featured a storyline about visitors exploring the resurfaced city of Atlantis. We are given a golden seahorse, aka the Greek god Hermes, and he is the protagonist of this ride as we make our way through Atlantis. A siren named Allura tricks the riders into almost staying in Atlantis forever, but then Hermes rescues them in time. In 2017, SeaWorld Orlando took away the storytelling aspect of it, so no Allura and no Hermes. The storyline at first made sense for the attraction, but now it doesn't make as much sense anymore. With all the major backlash about this attraction, it might as well just sink to the bottom of the ocean again. Thank you, I'm here all night. It's clear that during the mid-2000s, SeaWorld was heavily invested in the Atlantis theme, from their rides, park theming, and Shamu's deep sea adventures. And speaking of Shamu, the Shamu in the game and real life are way different. Even though Shamu is a killer whale, this game demonstrates the importance of working with allies like dolphins, Horatio the manatee, and other nice sea creatures to overcome challenges. Then after defeating Poseidon, he becomes the hero of the park. Well, in real life, Shamu was a performing killer whale. The original Shamu died in 1971, but the name became a brand for SeaWorld's orca shows. At the time of the game's release, the orca shows were not as controversial. However, in 2013, the documentary Blackfish exposed the ethical concerns of keeping orcas in captivity, such as attacks on the trainers and the breeding issues. Following the public backlash, SeaWorld announced in 2016 that it would end its orca breeding program, and the current generation of orcas at SeaWorld will be the last that they have. The orca shows have since shifted towards education and conservation with their Orca Encounters show. Even before the Blackfish documentary, there have been countless times of incidences that involved the trainers and the orcas, which led to the trainers almost losing their lives. So it's kind of crazy to me that Shamu, a killer whale, is the protagonist of this game. Was Shamu's deep sea adventures a success? While I couldn't find specific profit data, it doesn't appear to be as popular as a game as the other 2005 releases like God of War or Guitar Hero. Theme park IPs outside of Disney and Universal rarely gain any mainstream attraction, and Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures was no exception. Even without the stats, I could tell from a couple Reddit threads that Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures wasn't as popular as a game, with very few sales. While Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures was not a huge hit, it did bring many of us joy at some point in our lives, especially to the people who could regularly visit SeaWorld and actually see the Shamu shows. I remember playing this game on my Game Boy, and I remember finishing the game and enjoying every second of it. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have played the game, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you and your experience with this game. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I post new videos every first and third Friday of the month, so stay tuned for more. Thank you guys for watching Grace Adventures, where every day is a ride, and may your next adventure be epic.